Thank you. Yeah, I told him if there wasn't enough applause that I wasn't going to come down, so that's why he gave you the 10-second limit. That's not a hard and fast rule. It's just kind of what we're doing today. Before I helped Daryl with his personal brand, he never would have told you how handsome he is or how funny he is, so this stuff does work. I just want to get that out there. Thank you guys for coming out. I appreciate it very much. I didn't know we were recording today either, so that's news to me as well. The clicker also is not working, so I'm going to stay closer to the podium than I usually like to, because I usually like to roam around. So if I look like I'm miserable standing here, that's because I am. All right. So before you kind of thought about coming here today, how many of you had thought of yourselves as a personal brand before? Some, maybe a little. Thought maybe you should think of yourself as a brand, but maybe you hadn't just yet. So we're going to change all that today. This is kind of a modified version of a presentation that I typically give to a lot of the people in the LEAP program or to students. And this one I've actually adapted to give to some of my classes as well. So it's very much a student-focused kind of presentation. One of my very recent contacts is here wearing his sweater vest already today, so he's learned already that y'all are going to learn the importance of the sweater vest today too, just a little tease for what's to come. So for the students, you'll see that in this presentation, but it adapts really to you as your personal brand within the university. It adapts to be able to use it for your unit or your organization within the university. This can be adapted to any way that you want to create kind of meaningful expectations for yourself, for your unit, for whatever it is. And so you can do this on both a personal level as well as a career level. And I encourage you to kind of think of it both ways as we go through. So I tell the students that I'm going to kind of go over what you need to do to leave here today, hopefully, not necessarily before you begin your careers, but before you take the next step in your careers maybe, to create what I think would be a meaningful and desirable and recognizable brand, marketable brand, as you move forward. So, a lot of my students are kind of in this weird transition point where they're thinking like students. You've probably met some of these folks. They're about to go out on the job market, but they're not really prepared for anything that happens in between and what takes them from that place to that place. So I'm going to tell you first a little bit about why I'm here to talk about branding. My mother never told me that it was okay to hide your light under a bushel or anything, so I have to tell my students that this is not bragging, it's called branding when we do it this way. So a little bit about why I talk about branding, and embedded in this story is kind of an example of how it works, because this stuff does really work. I was an undergrad in college and bought a video store that was going out of business back in 1983. And so back in 1983, video stores were actually a really good thing to have. And the years after that, they were even better to have. It was a good time for me. I enjoyed college very much. Loved movies. So when this theater that I loved was going out of business, I bought that too and decided to run it as an art house. And did kind of independent film festivals and film series and things, fun stuff that I enjoyed doing. Not a lot of money in an independent theater, as it turns out, but a lot of fun. So I did that for about 7 years. The video stores were 20 plus years. When I closed the theater, or sold the theater actually, and walked away from it, the real estate started to sound like something I could do, because I really liked working with people, and I liked this idea of selling stuff. So I got my broker's license and became a trainer for ERA Real Estate, and they sent me all over the country actually teaching other realtors how to be good at what they did. And that's kind of when I got the teaching bug really hard. I decided eventually that I could sleep in my own bed every night and train my own agents, so I started my own company. Along with video stores, had Homestar Real Estate. With that one, I had about 10 commercial and residential realtors working under me, and enjoyed that very much. But about 2006, if you kind of flash back to then, it looks like everybody in here probably can and have some meaning. The mortgage crisis, that doesn't always happen in my classrooms. I was talking to another professor today who talked about rickrolling his class, and he was so upset that nobody even knew what he was talking about, so it happens. We all get older, as it turns out. With this, gosh, I even lost my place. That has never happened to me. So, decided 2006, mortgage crisis is looming. The video business is changing greatly, and so neither one of those businesses were going to be so great to be in for much longer. So I thought, well, what do you really love doing? And marketing was it. So I decided that I could keep my video stores open and come up to Mississippi State and get a PhD in marketing. And Dr. Melissa Moore, my department head right here, is laughing a little bit because I said, keep my stores open and come up here and get a PhD in marketing. That lasted 2 weeks. and had to go back to Jackson and sell my stores. And decided that this was actually the life I wanted. Loved it. And what I found out when I got here was that I loved Starkville, and I really wanted to stay in Starkville. But what they don't tell you, you guys probably knew this already, I didn't, is you don't get hired wherever you get your PhD. They feel like they've taught you everything you know, so you can't really bring anything to the table. So I figured, when I set my mind on something, I'm going to do it, but I had to find a way to do it. And so branding myself would be one way that I could kind of create this package that they wanted to bring back to Mississippi State. So I started working really hard while I was here. I did graduate. That was about 100 pounds ago, but that picture was on the cover of the graduation program for about 6 years. And I tried to get them to take a thinner one, and they still won't do it, but one day. While I was here, I formed a branding association, kind of reached out to people who were really good at branding research, stuff I had read while I was in the program, and said, can we work together? Can we create this kind of conference where we bring together academics and professionals from like Hershey and Disney and ERA and Coke to come together every year and talk about what academics need to know about what's going on in the real world? And decided that was a good idea. We meet now every year to every other year in Boston. It's a great thing. We've actually put out a couple of different books from it and really enjoy that. I started thinking too that if I was going to have a strong brand, I needed to have a strong social media presence. So I kind of created this marketing mic idea. I went onto Twitter and I've created an online newspaper with this that's branded as me. I got recognized as a top web savvy professor by Best Online Universities and one of the top 100 social media or marketing professors on Twitter by Social Media Marketing Magazine. The fun part about this one, and I do enjoy telling this part every semester, is that I use a branding book in my class that's written by kind of the godfather of branding, David Acker. And he's number 13 on this list, and I'm number 12. That makes me really happy. The students even enjoy that. So doing all of that, I went to Indiana University Southeast first because I did have to leave when I graduated. They wouldn't let me stay. While I was there, I got noticed and went to University of Nebraska Omaha and helped them start a business research lab. But any chance I got, I would go on the news and talk about branding or retailing or anything they wanted to talk about. That was actually Thanksgiving morning. I had about 40 people back at my house that I was doing all the cooking for. And they called and said, would you come talk about Christmas shopping? I'm like, sure. So I did it. There's a point to this. Anytime they wanted to talk about anything related to the stuff I was doing, I said yes. And then eventually I got a call from Mississippi State and they said, would you consider coming back? I'm like, well, it depends on the money. I was so kidding. I would have come back anyway, but they didn't know that. And so don't tell anybody, Melissa, you're sworn to secrecy too. I'm here to stay now, and I really love it here. This is exactly what I wanted, and I branded my way back here. So I'm telling you all this to show you that when you kind of figure out what your goals are and what you want your brand to be known for, you can actually take that brand and turn it into those goals. So let's talk about it a little bit, how you're going to do this. First of all, we're talking about brand like we all know what it is. What do you guys think a brand is? Anybody? And they're going to hate me because they're going to want to pass around a mic, but does anybody have a good idea of what a brand is? Not you, Melissa, because you do know. A perception, okay, so I would agree with that. A lot of really smart people have given really long definitions that, that wasn't supposed to see that yet, that do sum up the idea, but a lot of them do talk about the fact that it is kind of an idea, but a lot more even talk about that it's a logo and it's all the things that go with the brand, but it doesn't sum up what it means to be a brand. And so I came up with a definition that I accidentally love. A brand is a story that comes with a promise and a set of expectations, okay? I've kind of passed this around to other people who are in branding research and say, yeah, that does kind of get it. Because when we think about brands, really good branding is just really good storytelling. If you can tell a story well, you're creating a strong brand. This promise is typically one of quality, right? That's what we expect from a brand. And this set of expectations is all the other things that we learn about it, all the stuff that kind of go along with the stuff that the other definitions talk about, the logo and the colors and things. So if we look at this definition, how does it work with a brand like Coca-Cola? What kinds of things come to mind when we think about Coca-Cola? And it can be anything. Classic, okay. What else? The polar bears, absolutely. Those always come to mind, right? What else? 18-wheelers with the Christmas lights. Yeah, I love those, Shelley. The 18-wheelers with Christmas lights, they make me tear up every time. Anything else? Happiness. What's that? The bottle. Absolutely. It's iconic, right? Back in early 1900s, the marketing manager for Coca-Cola, and they were smart enough to have a marketing manager for Coca-Cola in the early 1900s. A lot of people didn't. A lot of companies didn't. He said, I want the bottle to be so iconic that if it were dropped, our customers could put it back together even if it were shattered. That's pretty smart thinking for 1903-ish, right? And is it that iconic? Yeah, absolutely. Typically, I keep going until my college students very quickly go to cocaine. And it turns out there was just a little bit of cocaine in Coke at first. Now that it's out, I think it's still just as addictive, right? But there's very little, I mean, hardly enough to even mention cocaine in it anymore. So they're probably going to hunt me down for saying that. Those are the brand associations. That's what comes to mind with a brand like Coke. And fun and friendship and sharing all probably would come to mind if we kept going too, right? For a brand like Apple, are there different associations that come to mind? Like what kinds of things would you think of when you think of Apple as a brand? Sleek, smartness, innovative for sure. Expensive, yeah. Do you think snobby would kind of go in there too? A little bit of snob appeal? Yeah. Do you think that's an accident? No, they don't mind that a bit, right? They probably kind of cultivate that. It goes with their brand. So there are different associations, but still that same story that goes with it. We know the Coca-Cola story. Originally founded in Atlanta. First, we know where it was first sold over the counter. Anybody? Some of you do. Vicksburg, Mississippi, y'all. That's our claim to fame. What? Apple, started by a couple of guys, a couple of stoners, really, in a garage, right? And was kind of the underdog brand, and now they're Apple. Could this work for people? Well, yeah. Let's look at Steve Jobs. He's been gone now for a while, much to Apple's chagrin, by the way. They would love to have him back. If he were standing here today, what would he be wearing? There's a hint there. Black turtleneck, jeans, probably some white sneakers, right? Do you think the second year he did that Apple talk that he kind of looked around the room, he thought, oh my God, I wore this last year, damn. Probably not, right? If so, he needed to tell somebody because it turned out to be a very happy accident. That was his brand. Does that fit what we think of when we think of him? Does it tie in pretty closely to the Apple brand too? Kind of sleek, a little snobby, creative, smart, probably expensive, right? They didn't get him for cheap. So yeah, the personal brand still works there too. For my students, I also go to some examples of personal brands that maybe aren't as strong. Kanye, they love that. And if you show them Kanye, you have to show them T-Swift too. So those two certainly understand personal branding, as do most celebrities and most politicians right now too. So obviously you can do this with a person. One thing we need to think about is the first thing that a brand kind of starts with is a mission statement. Okay? A mission statement is something that most companies have, but also organizations and in just a little while, you guys are going to have that talks about your reason for being. Why am I here? What do I do and why should anybody care? That's what a mission statement is. How many of you guys who haven't been through the LEAP program have already written a personal mission statement? Or ever thought about it? Do you remember what they are? Could you say them if I prompted you? Or that would be way too much pressure, wouldn't it? Yeah, I wouldn't do that to you. But you have it, right? Does it help you to make decisions? Does it help you kind of guide you through some of life's challenges? A good mission statement does several things for a company or for a person. It talks about your key market. So who is it that's buying my product? For all of you guys, who is it? Students, yeah. The university, yeah. What about your peers? Do they matter as part of your audience as well, you think? Yeah. Hopefully those are people that you network with and that can actually make a difference in your careers as you move forward. I have to remind my students that the other students are important target market for them too. Hopefully as they move on, a lot of them will be successful, and as they do, they're going to be the networks that keep each other successful. So a good mission statement should identify your key market, and so for your personal brand, you need to know that for sure. You also need to think about what your contribution is. For a company like Coca-Cola, they could very easily say that their contribution is, a beverage, right? What do you think they think their product is? Because I think they've gone way beyond a beverage. What are they selling?
Wholesome fun.
Wholesome fun? I can go with that, yeah. relationships, maybe optimism, the idea of sharing. Yeah, a lot of really smart marketing people thought that the whole Share a Coke campaign was a stupid idea. They said, people are they're gonna have names on the cans and the bottles. If they can't find their name, they're just gonna, move on and not get one. Anybody in here? Yeah, anybody in here not buy a Coke because you couldn't find your name? No, no, didn't happen. Never happened. It was one of the most successful campaigns they've ever had. The Share campaign. It's worked really well, and now they've gotten really smart. And they say share with a rock star. Share with all sorts of fun things. A bestie. So they're doing fine. Don't worry about them. And don't listen to really smart marketing people a lot of the time either. What is your contribution? What is it that you have to offer to your students, to each other, to the university? Have you thought about that? Like what it is that you bring to the table? You probably have, but maybe not in a way that kind of quantifies it and really explains it. So think about that. And we also need to think about your distinction. So any good mission statement explains what about this contribution is distinct, unique, meaningful. In my branding classes, we talk a lot about meaningful differentiation. And I have a really cool graphic where it's a big key. It says this is the key to successful marketing, successful branding is meaningful differentiation. What do y'all think that means, to meaningfully differentiate? Anybody? Okay, what sets us apart from somebody else? Absolutely, and that's where most of my students go right away. I give them an example. I put a kind of a generic looking beer can up because they pay attention, and it's yellow, it's bright yellow. And it says we could go ahead and market Dr. B beer in this bright yellow can, and it's the only beer that comes in a bright yellow can. So is that differentiated? Yeah, totally. Is that a meaningful differentiation? Does it matter to our target market? We could make it matter, because we're marketers and we're smart that way. By itself, it wouldn't. Now, if we came out and said, well, it turns out that that particular shade of yellow totally shuts out all the UV rays, so your beer is going to be a lot fresher when it comes in this bright yellow can. We could do that, and we've done stuff like that before, frankly. But by itself, a yellow can is not that meaningfully differentiating. So here, we're thinking about our distinction. And it ties into this idea, and I think it's my next slide. Now, this idea of a unique selling proposition that we'll talk more about in just a minute. But think for now about this idea that whatever your contribution is, you need to think, why is your version of it different from everybody else's version? What about the way you contribute to your students, to the organization, to each other, makes you meaningfully different from everybody else? All right? I want to look at some mission statements for some companies, and let's see if we can figure out whose they are. Because a good mission statement, to me, you can look at it and you know automatically who that company is. Okay? Let's see. Here's one. To discover, develop, and deliver innovative medicines that help patients prevail over serious illnesses. We probably know what industry we're talking about, right? It's probably pharmaceuticals. Do we know who it is? Not really. It could be a lot of different companies, right? Could be. I mean, if somebody's a stockholder, they might know. But otherwise, you probably never know it's Bristol Myers Squibb. They make some pretty important medicines, but we don't really know that from this. How about this one? We will be the easiest pharmacy retailers for our customers to use. Walgreens. Others that could be. Could be CVS. Could be Rite Aid. They'd be lying, but they could say that, And I would have said Walgreens too. Turns out it is CVS. We didn't know that. To nourish and delight everyone we serve. This one's hard to even figure out the industry, right? Not really sure where we're going with this one. Turns out it's the Darden Group that owns Olive Garden. They've got the nourish part. That can be delightful at times. Longhorn, a few other restaurants. So that sort of works for them, but it doesn't really differentiate. This is my favorite one. Undisputed marketplace leadership. It's not that informative. Who could it be? I thought arms manufacturer when I first saw it, because that is, because you have to almost say it like undisputed marketplace leadership, right? I mean, if you're going to say it, you've got to mean it. Who could it be? Could be MSU. Yeah, it would fit, right? We know that. Would you be surprised to see it's Hershey? Hershey's a company that does a whole lot of really philanthropic things for education. They're a great company. They do really cool stuff. That does not tell us that. And undisputed marketplace leadership for Hershey, it's a little odd. I don't know. This one you'll know who it is, but let's see if it's a good one. Apple designs Macs, the best personal computers in the world, along with OS X, iLife, iWork, and professional software. Apple leads the digital music revolution with its iPods and iTunes online store. They started this one in 2015. It's still their mission statement today. Do we like that as a mission statement? I'm so glad y'all are saying no, because we don't. You've already learned enough not to like it, and that's wonderful. It's not meaningfully differentiating, and it's got a bigger problem too. Do you feel like this limits them somewhat? Do you feel like this may be the reason they're having some problems right now even, is because they are so stuck in what they used to do that they're not really thinking about what they should do? I love giving the example of Blockbuster, because when I had my video stores, the local folks used to always try to buy me, and I would never sell. And they would say, well, we'll just put you out of business. And they didn't. My stores lasted longer than all of theirs in my market. You don't have to applaud. But it feels really good in here. Blockbuster, who should they be now? What should they be selling as today? They should be Netflix. They should be Amazon Prime. They should even be Redbox. I mean, there's still some business there. They got to the Redbox idea too late. They had Blue Box for a few minutes and put them in McDonald's. And if you can't sell it at McDonald's, then you don't know what you're doing, right? They don't know what they're doing, or they didn't, because they're not around for me to even make fun of anymore. A lot of my students, I have to explain what a video store is, which is very sad to me. But they should have been a vibrant force today in what they do. What do you think they thought their product was? What do you think they thought was their business? Videotapes and the video store. I think very firmly they were rooted in that. Thomas?
I read something somewhere that a lot of their business model was based on late fees.
Yeah.
They went digital, they would lose things.
Right, you don't get those late fees anymore, so they didn't know what to do. They were so firmly anchored in, we are a video store who collects late fees, that they couldn't predict what was coming. Little me knew what was coming in the video industry, so they certainly could have predicted it, but they just didn't, because they were so stuck in an old mission statement that didn't help them. We call that marketing myopia. It's being really short-sighted when it comes to what you're doing, what you're supposed to be doing. It happened to the railroads. It's happened in a lot of industries. Will happen in a lot more, probably, as we move forward. We don't want it to happen to your brand, okay? So let me show you some good mission statements, since I've shown you some bad ones. Bad ones are fun, but the good ones are nice. To bring inspiration and innovation to every athlete in the world. Nike, could it be anybody but Nike? Not really. That tells us exactly who they are. If I had said just do it, would we have gotten there just as quickly? Yeah, I mean, they have done a great job of branding themselves. Our vision is to be Earth's most customer-centric company, to build a place where people can come to find and discover anything they might want to buy online. Amazon, right? And love them or hate them, and a lot of people seem to hate them these last few days. They do know what they're doing, right? And they've done a great job of making sure that their mission statement didn't limit them. What if they had said to be the biggest bookseller in the world? Is that a lot of their revenue now? No, most of their revenue actually comes from selling their services to other people who sell stuff now. Amazon, their storefront is kind of a small part of what they do to make money. So they knew they needed to be thinking ahead. That's what I want you guys to do too. I want you guys to think about writing a mission statement. And normally I have several minutes built in so that we can do that. We don't have as much time in here today. So I'm just going to task you with this. And if you want to email them to me and let me look at them afterward, I certainly will. Want to be sure to answer this question: who's my target market? What's my contribution? And what is my unique selling proposition? And that's what I was talking about, your distinction. I explained to my students that when they graduate with this marketing degree from Mississippi State, which is a very meaningful thing, right, and probably meaningfully differentiating in a way, but each one of them probably has a dream job in mind already. How are they going to go to that dream job employer and say, I am the one person who can help you with this problem you have, the reason you've advertised this position? I'm the one. What I do is better than what everybody else does. Because that's what you have to do to get hired, right? I mean, that's who they're going to hire. So you've got to think about it. And not only are they graduating with that degree that day, the same day they graduate, a lot of other people in the same class are graduating. People all over the state, that same weekend probably, all over the country about that time, and all over the world, maybe have that same dream job in mind. how do they go to Nike or to Amazon and say, I'm the one person that can solve your problem? It's the unique selling proposition, this idea of a distinction, a meaningful differentiation. Hopefully, you will give some thought to that before you write your mission statement and think about it. When I was on the job market trying to get back to Mississippi State, I knew that part of my differentiation was my career background, the things I had done that would make the things I taught about more meaningful in the classroom, that my students could relate to it, and I could tell stories that would help them understand some of the concepts I was teaching, and it's worked really well. But also it was the other things I did to build my brand. You've got to know, though, what it is before you try to take that next step. Whether it's a promotion here at State, whether it's moving into another position, whether it's just being better at the position you're in, you've got to figure out why somebody would pick you to do that job. And if you don't know why, you have no business asking for that position yet, or asking for that raise, asking for that promotion, whatever it is. And I tell my students this too, before they interview with anybody at the career fair, if they can't answer the question why they are the one person someone should hire over everybody else that wants that same job, then they don't need to interview yet. So I want y'all to be thinking about that, what your one thing is. A lot of the times it's a combination of experiences you've had. And some of them think, well, I've only worked as a server and a lifeguard. I don't have that much to offer. But can that be tweaked to say that they understand customer service? They've had people's lives in their hands, that this combination of experiences does make them unique? Yeah, combine that with a marketing degree and cutting edge knowledge and a branding class that you can't take just anywhere. That's pretty, and I didn't even mean just because it was me, but there just aren't that many places that offer them. I mean, certainly it's better because it's from me, but that's not the only thing. I think I have a cartoon here I was going to show you too, to show you what typically happens when I hand this off to students and say, okay, write me a good mission statement. It's this. So many of them, and so many big companies too, sit down and think, what are the words that should be in our mission statement? And they give these great buzzwords about, collegiality or whatever the hot topic is of the day, being on trend and cutting edge and those kinds of things. Sounds really good in the annual report. Doesn't do you any good when it's your personal mission statement. So I typically ask my students to then give me their mission statements that they've written up for themselves. Is Daryl in here? Daryl, do you know your mission statement that you could tell it to us?
Yes, in about 1 minute.
All right, I'll come back to you. Be working on that. I should have told him I was going to do that, but that would have taken the fun out of it from me. With the mission statement, I'll say, take like about 5 or 10 minutes and let's write something up that we can then go over as a group. They look panicked for a minute and they say, okay, well, if I showed you mine, would it help? And they say, oh gosh, yes. It was always my intention all along, but I can't fool y'all. Do you have it already?
I got it.
Oh, look at Daryl, that was fast. See, he over-delivered. This is great.
Well, I wrote it down because I know I'm supposed to remember it.
That's
but,
okay.
Anyway. It's, I propel others to the next level by investing in their growth and development, all with creativity, fun, and professionalism.
Not bad, right? Yeah, right? Okay, yeah, we can do that. We can do that. Not 10 seconds, stop. Thank you, Daryl. You have to have a little bit of an ego to be in front of a classroom with 200 students in it every day. So my mission statement. I uplift, encourage, and enhance the lives and careers of others through the thoughtful application of my personal and professional experiences to the betterment of those I encounter. It's a little wordy. I want to take it down some. I do remember it, but it took me a while. A good mission statement you should be able to remember, because what it's going to do for you is it's going to help you to make decisions that are on brand, decisions that are consistent with the brand you want to have. So when Daryl calls me up and says, I know that I just got you to agree to do a LEAP class, but we're going to do this pro chat, and it's going to be like 10 or 12 people. He so lied to me. Said, sitting around interested in branding, would you come talk to them, one Thursday afternoon? And he was smart to do this back like in September. Say, it's January, it's so far away. To go ahead and agree. I did. But it's because it was consistent with my mission statement. As it turns out, almost every professor, almost everybody who organizes any kind of seminar that wants their students to know about branding really likes them to learn about branding at 8 o'clock in the morning. I'm not a morning person, but when they contact me, think about my mission statement. It's like, well, that's pretty consistent with my brand, so yeah, I guess I better do it. It also helps me, though, to say no to stuff. If it turns out that what they're asking me to do is not something that's going to advance my brand, advance my position at the university, whatever that is for your brand, then I can say no to it and not feel bad about it. So it's a great way to ease your conscience, too, if you've got a good mission statement that really does tell you how you should make these decisions, okay? I want you to work on your mission statements. I've got my email address at the end, and if you want to email those to me, I'm happy to look at them and kind of tell you where I think you can keep tweaking. We're going to move on, though, to what I usually do next in these. And I ask them, just like we thought about with Coca-Cola and with Apple, what are 5 words, short phrases that you would like to come to mind when people think about your brand? With Coca-Cola, we said polar bears and fun and inspiration and cocaine. What do you want to come to mind with your brand? I recommend that you think about these in advance and try to be those things, because that's how it happens. That's how it happens for a brand like Coke, like Apple. It's how it's going to happen for your personal brand. I usually ask them, we've been together by this point in our careers together for about 35 minutes, 40 minutes. What do you think mine would be? What do you think I'm trying to be up here? And I always do ask them to be nice. I didn't think I had to ask y'all, but, be nice. What do you think are the brand words I'm trying to live? Motivational, confident. I didn't even think of that one. As it turns out, she may have had my course before. Mentor in a sweater vest is one of mine. I'm killing it in the sweater vest. I'm making it work. If I had known for sure, if I had had enough confidence in my brand that I knew I would end up back in Mississippi, it might would have been like, mentor in a Speedo or something. But y'all don't deserve that, and it's certainly too cold for it. But the sweater vest may have not been the best choice, but it's on a slide, so I'm sticking with it now. Mine, the ones I usually go till somebody either says snappy dresser or hot, but we're running out of time. So I will tell you. Mine are branding guru, that's what I want to be known for. Passionately enthusiastic, motivating, so thank you for that. Unlocker of potential, because I can't stand when my students don't recognize how special they are. I can't stand it when people are in front of me and I know they're amazing and they don't. So one of my biggest missions is to help everybody in this room, everybody that I meet, to actually feel better about themselves enough that they can be confident and they can go out and sell their brand in a meaningful way. And then mentor in a sweater vest, because it's the choice I made. It's working, it's working. I can wear it, with a t-shirt underneath, that works too. So don't worry about me, I'm fine. All right. I've given you a lot of information in a very short period of time. This talk normally goes on for well over an hour, but I'm going to give you the list here, how you're going to do this. And again, I really encourage you, if you're interested in working on your brand, to send me this information. Even if you want to send me your associations along with your mission statement, we'll see if they're consistent with your mission. And I encourage you too, on your associations, don't fall into that buzzword trap either. None of mine were, nobody else would say any of those things, frankly. Certainly not mentor in a sweater vest, but even the others, those are me. Here's what we do. You define your overall goals. So figure out where it is you want to be. Figure out what it is you want to be known for. If it's your personal brand and your personal life, what things do you want to have, whether it's family, friends, whatever it is, make those your goals. Write them down. Do your research. So figure out who else is doing what you want to do or having what you want to have and doing it well. So if this were a company that I was talking to, I would say look at other companies that have the kind of reputation you want and see how did they get there? What did they do? For you guys, I say look at other people who are living a life like the one you'd like to have, maybe in the university, maybe it's some completely different life. It can be I tell my companies a competitor, but it can be somebody that's doing something completely different. But if they have the kind of reputation, the kind of image that you want, look at them. See what they're doing right. See what the people who are not doing the things you want to do, why aren't they? Look at what people do wrong too. That's a great way to learn. It's easy fun to look at companies that are not successful and say, wow, they failed because of that. So you can do the same thing with this. We all know somebody that's a bad example of their personal brand, right? You don't have to name anybody, but you can. I mean, it'd be fun, but we'll do it after they take the mic off me. Determine what your brand attributes should be. So those brand associations I just mentioned, think about those and kind of what is it you want to be known for? What is it that you want people to think of automatically when they think of you? Assess your current position. So figure out how far along are you on that mission statement. If we had a lot longer, I would tell you that your mission statement is kind of a roadmap for your brand. And it tells you where you're going to end up. Your current position is where you're starting from. So if we were going to take a road trip together today, and we kind of are, we're just taking a branding road trip, we want to know exactly where we are, because you've got to know where you're starting from if you want to figure out how to get where you're going, right? And be honest. If your current position is nothing like the goal you have for yourself, think about, am I really willing to do the kinds of things that it takes to get to that goal? Or maybe that's a goal I've had for so long, I just never even thought about whether I really wanted it, and the reason I haven't done it is because it's not what I want anymore. Either way, really good exercise to figure out where you are in association with that brand right now, in relation to it. Craft a personal marketing plan. That sounds like a lot of work. It's not that hard. Think about the kinds of things that advance your brand. For my students, I tell them, think about how you're going to dress when you go to class. You know, part of their target market is me as a professor. If I look at them and think they look sloppy, then am I going to feel great about writing them a letter later? Same thing. When you present yourself, how do you want to be perceived? So make sure those are part of your personal marketing plan. Social media is a big part of our personal marketing plans. It was for me, and it is for all of you guys too. Just spelling stuff right puts you so far ahead of the rest of the world on social media that people are going to think you're a genius if you don't have typos in your social media posts. Everybody looks at that stuff, y'all. I mean, is there any time y'all have gone to meet somebody you didn't know and you didn't look at their social media first? My students get so weirded out when I tell them I've looked at all of their social media before the first day of class. I can't help it. It helps me, though, figure out where are the problems in my class going to be? Who are my bright spots going to be? What can I expect from these people? How are they going to interact with each other? It's a great little microcosm that tells us so much. Decide what your markers are. So if we are on this branding road trip, if we're going to kill this metaphor, then what are the road signs that we should be looking for to know that we're on the right path to get where we're going? For me, it was getting a couple of books published. That says, okay, you're moving toward this brand of having a national reputation, that people know what you do in branding. When I got the social media recognition, when I got to 15,000 followers on Twitter, all that stuff tells me, okay, you're moving in the right direction. Decide what yours are, because you need to know if you're going the right way. Okay? If you're not hitting any of your markers, maybe you need to reassess either where you are or where you're trying to go, or how you're trying to get there. And then manage your brand carefully. That's the hardest part. Once you've decided on your brand, you've got to figure out, how am I going to make sure that this is the brand identity that people hold for me? Is this the image I'm going to give to other people? And a lot of that involves living up to those things that you decided in your personal marketing plan. Okay? It's not that hard, but it takes a lot of thought up front. Okay? And most of us, even those of you who've gone through the LEAP class and all, we tend to kind of forget this stuff periodically. And sometimes it's just good to have a reminder that your brand matters. I did get a really good question one time in one of these, and it was, well, what's the difference between like your reputation and your personal brand? And I like that question too. I see somebody going, yeah, what is the difference? We were wondering that too. Well, I'll tell you, because I had to think on my feet that day. Now I have an answer. Reputation looks at what you've done in the past exclusively. So what have you done? That's your reputation, right? Your personal brand takes what you've done in the past, the story of what you've done in the past, to imply what can be expected of you in the future. Okay? You can control that. You can control your personal brand much better than you can your reputation. Some of you in here, I doubt it, but some of you may have a terrible reputation. You can I didn't mean to look right at you when I said that, but you were laughing. I have heard nothing. I don't know anything about your personal reputation. Want that on the record. But that doesn't mean you can't overcome it, because you're just going to take that and figure out, okay, maybe I've made some really bad choices, but that's taught me a lot about how to make good choices now. So it's all how you frame it for your personal brand. It is very forward-looking. It can be aspirational even. It doesn't have to be who you are today. And that's the really empowering thing about your personal brand. It's what you want to be, and then you just get to be it. That's pretty cool, right? I usually, if we have enough time, Daryl, I have a few like social media fails that I just like to show the students because they really love that part of it. We're probably past that. We're not going to giggle at stuff like this, but we'll pretend. This stuff was so easy to find on social media. These people, this is the stuff that they themselves are posting, right? This is the stuff that their future employers are looking at and saying, wow, I needed somebody flexible. And she is the one. She is the one. And look at, he's probably meditating. So that's, upward something pose. Her, God bless her. I don't know what to think about her, but that's not the picture I'd put on my Facebook page. I haven't bent that way in a long time either. Never fall asleep at a party first. This guy, this Jacob Cox Brown, posted on Facebook, driving drunk, classic, but to whoever's vehicle I hit, I'm sorry. Turns out the Oregon State Police knew whose vehicle he hit. So not only did he not get those jobs, he also got a little bit arrested. So social media, not always your best friend if you don't use it right. This one I loved. She was making some obscene gestures at the Tomb of the Unknowns and got fired from her job. Who would have thought? This woman told her boss in Switzerland that she couldn't be at work because she had a migraine and couldn't look at her computer screen, but she's posting on Facebook all day. Somebody turned her in. Wah, wah. NFL cheerleader, highest moral standards ever, got fired over some Facebook pictures. You have to wonder what a cheerleader would have to do to get fired, right? But must have been something. This teacher apparently really enjoyed a couple of her male students very much and made some posts about it while she was drunk. That turns out that was a problem. I'm going to say they don't cover that in HR, but they really do, don't they? I mean, that shouldn't be a surprise to any of us. Couple of examples of servers who are saying, next time you stiff me on my bill, I'm going to spit in your food and other nasty things. She got fired from Applebee's, as it turns out. Not ours, not in Starkville. This woman talking about what a pervy wanker her boss is, so I'm guessing she's British and very sophisticated. But he says, you remember that we're friends on Facebook, right? That happens again here too. I hate my boss in all caps. So she's screaming it from the mountaintop, and he says, yeah, we're friends on here. So not very smart. And this guy had what my students would love to have. He had a job at Google. And on his second day in his job, he told them that he had a death in the family. And then this shows up on his Facebook that night. And so unless it was a really weird death, like a Peter Pan type death or something, I'm thinking he may have gotten fired because he was drinking Busch Light even. I don't know. It's just a lot of bad choices represented there is all I'm saying. So now it's up to you guys to decide which way you're going to choose, whether or not you're going to show up on one of my future presentations. I don't think any of you will. I feel very confident in saying that. But are you going to start working toward this brand, this image, this identity that you can have, and you already got a personal brand? It just may not be the one you want to have. So you need to be in control of it, is the whole point of what I'm saying. And hopefully that's what you'll do. Here is my information. Oh, I haven't changed it to associate yet. I've got to do that because that was a fun change. There I am on Twitter. I love it when people follow me because I'm kind of greedy about my followers. I want as many as I can get. And I am at Mississippi State. That's where I wanted to be. All right, what questions do you guys have? And Daryl's going to run around with the microphone, so y'all come up with lots of questions, but try to come up with them on opposite sides of the room as best you can. Sorry. It's payback for always wanting me early in the day. Actually, Daryl is one of the few people who never wants me early in the day.
Never early in the morning.
Dr. Breazeale, can you hear me?
I can. Yeah, they've got you on the sound, so that's all that matters.
Okay.
And I've got you, so.
Thank you for being here this afternoon.
Oh, thank you.
When I saw your mission statement, I saw the words professional and I saw the word personal. Mm-hmm. And most of us wear many hats in our lives.
Right.
I'm a parent, I'm a colleague, I'm an educator, this, that, and the other. Should we strive to have one mission statement that we can apply uniformly through the different areas of our life?
I think that's an amazing goal. And I think, yes, you should strive to have one mission statement that covers everything you do. Hopefully mine kind of does that, because even the stuff that I learn professionally, I think I bring that to my personal life too. But if you want to start with some small piece of it, if it's easier to say I want to write a mission statement for my career, you can certainly do that. It would be more focused, and that's okay too. My suggestion, though, is that you think about the fact that if you are going to piecemeal mission statements, they all need to be consistent. And maybe if you do a couple of them, you realize where they are consistent, and that becomes, your overarching personal brand statement. So, good question, really good question. Somebody over here surely has a question, since Daryl's over there. None. Did I just explain it so well? Is anybody thinking now about themselves as a brand a little bit more than they were? Okay. Yes, ma'am.
I think one of the most important things you stressed was, like in crafting your mission statement, was to figure out what about you is, what can you bring that no one else can bring, and how do you find out what that is?
That's a great question. So she's wondering, how do we find out what's special about us? You hope that you can think of some of the things, but it might not be the stuff your target audience thinks of. If you're a company, how do we do it? Anybody know? We love focus groups in marketing. Talk to your friends. Ask them, if I had to describe my personal brand, what do you think of? And your friends will be honest with you. They'll tell you. And the good and the bad, and you need that. You want to know, what am I doing right? What am I not getting right? And that's a great way to learn it. I also want you to think about the stuff that you want to be your unique differentiators too, your unique selling propositions. So it doesn't even have to be something you're already doing. Hopefully what makes you unique is already there, but maybe you haven't thought about it yet. But to find out what your brand is right now, when I said assess your current position, your friends, your family are a great place to go to kind of figure out, well, where am I now? How do people think of me? Good question. Thomas. Who wins the Sweater Vest Award for the day? It's a real thing.
So, aside from yourself,
Right.
who are some others in the industry that are influencers in terms of personal branding and marketing? What are some books that we could read to get better
That's
at what
a
you're
really
talking
great
about?
question, and I actually keep a list of those, and I should have memorized some of them so that I could tell you. There is one really good book called The Confessions of Employee Number One. It's written by a guy from Google. It talks a lot about kind of his personal brand and his experiences at Google. It was a good book for that. The books by David Acker, who I mentioned earlier, I don't know if I told you this, but he's number 13, on that list. Did I mention that? Okay. I'm number 12. Did I say that part too? Okay. Just checking. He's written some really good stuff. It's actually popular press stuff that talks about how you create a brand for a small enterprise, but those really apply very well to personal brands too. I'll send a list to Daryl, and maybe you can post with this video a list of some book suggestions, because I love that question. That's good. Thank you. Anybody else? Yes, ma'am. You're really good at that, Daryl.
I may have missed it, but just in case, what is with the sweater vest?
Well, I should say that, I was found as a small child wearing one in the wilderness and brought in it, but it means nothing. I've just made it mine, but I'll make up a story that I'll start telling from now on. That's a good point. Yeah, when I was found fully formed, as a child, somewhere, that I was already wearing my first sweater vest, and it was adorable. I do love the idea, though, of having something that identifies you, something that you wear. It's kind of your thing. Back in the day when I was in real estate, there was always a hat lady in every market. Y'all know the one I'm talking about, right? She's always the realtor that wears the hat. That's her kooky thing that she does. Differentiating, is it meaningfully differentiating? No. My sweater vest probably isn't meaningfully differentiating either. Now that I've been touching all over the mic, they love me back there. But it's mine. I'm going to keep wearing it. Other questions? Well, hopefully you guys are going to take some of this and actually use it. I would love to hear from you. Follow up with me as much as you want to on it. This is fun to me. This is my passion. And so whenever somebody else gets excited about it too, I get excited. So I'll be very happy to kind of be your personal branding resource until I give you a list of other books you can read. You can count on me to be there for you. So thank y'all. I appreciate it very much.